For this recipe, you can use either fresh or dried berries. It will be delicious either way. Now, if you're using fresh berries, I do recommend putting them in the freezer for a little while before you make your syrup, for a couple of reasons. The freezing process helps the berries release their juices. It also helps you remove the berries from the stems of the umbel more easily. Now, after you remove the berries from the umbel, you'll want to go through the berries and try to remove as many stems as possible. You may not be able to remove them all, but get as many as you can. Also, I'd like to mention that if you are using dried berries today but would like to use fresh berries in the future, then check out my video titled Identifying Elderberries. In that video, I take you with me and I show you how to identify elderberries, and I also show you how to forage them correctly. Also, if you already foraged your berries, make sure the plant that you foraged from looks like the one on your screen right now, because not all berries are considered safe or edible. Looking at these berries makes me want to make elderberry syrup. So join me in my kitchen and we'll get started. This recipe makes 4 cups of elderberry syrup, which will perfectly fill 2 pint-sized jars.
So I have all of our ingredients here measured out and ready to go. So I'm going to tell you what we need. We need either 1 cup of dried elderberries or 2 cups of fresh or frozen berries. This obviously is not 2 full cups. That's because this is all I have left. I'm going to try to make this work for our last batch of fresh elderberry syrup. So I'm trying not to add any dried to it this time. But normally I do dried elderberries for my syrup. That's what I've always used until this year, and that's what I'll continue using the rest of the year if I don't find any more elderberries.
Keep in mind that you can also replace elderberries in this recipe with blueberries, blackberries, raspberries, or any other healthy berry. You can also have fun with the recipe and add a small amount of nutritive herbs like red raspberry leaf or nettle leaf. Feel free to omit anything that you don't like as well. Make it your own.
Okay, so I have 1/2 of a lemon here. I grated the peel of the lemon and made zest out of half of the lemon, and then I cut the rest of it into about 8 pieces or so, and I'm going to put the whole amount in there so I get the juice and the zest and everything from half of a lemon. This is 1 tablespoon of cloves. I'm using whole cloves. You can also use powdered cloves if you'd like, and you can still just keep to the tablespoon, that would be fine. Okay, I added 2 tablespoons of fresh ginger. If you can't find it fresh by chance, I think it would be fine to use powdered, but fresh is always best. And then I'm using 1/3 cup of pine needles today. Normally I use 1 cup, so anywhere from 1/3 to 1 cup is what I would use. I prefer a cup, and I might end up cutting up all of these and putting those in there too. So, but that is an optional ingredient. You do not have to add pine needles. The reason I add pine needles is for a little extra vitamin C, because pine needles are good for that. If you didn't have those and you had other things, you could also add other things for vitamin C. You could add more lemon if you'd like to, or you can add rose hips or something like a vitamin C supplement powder or something like that if you'd like. And then I'm using 4 of the 3-inch sticks of cinnamon. You can also use powdered cinnamon. In that case, you would use 2 teaspoons of powdered cinnamon. And then I'm going to be using 1 1/3 cup of pure natural local honey. And this is made in Center, Missouri, which is very close to here. And I buy this at the New London Old School Marketplace. And you'll also need 4 cups of water to add to your recipe. So I think that's everything. So let's get started. All right, I'm going to be using a double boiler again. If you don't have a double boiler, that is fine. I've gone without a double boiler before too, and in that case, I would always just kind of hold my pan up above the burner a little bit every now and then and just try to keep it from the heat as much as possible. Or you can put a pan of boiling water and then sit another pan on top. Some people have used mason jars inside of boiling water and or hot water and just let things steep inside a mason jar. There's different ways you can do it. Use your imagination, but I'm going to be using a double boiler today. And first I'm going to be adding my water. So 4 cups of water. And then I'm going to add my elderberries. Again, 2 cups of fresh. Second cup. I also put my oven on medium. I will not go any higher than that. In fact, I might even lower it down if I feel like I need to. But I am trying to get this done fairly quickly without burning the elderberry syrup or causing it to get too hot and ruining my vitamin C content. Alright, and then half of a lemon. Okay, I added 2 tablespoons of fresh ginger. Alright, and then I will add 4 cinnamon sticks, 3 inches long, or the equivalent of the cinnamon sticks, which would be 2 teaspoons of ground cinnamon. And then I'll be adding 1 tablespoon of whole cloves, but you can use powdered as well. And then a 1/3 cup of pine needles, or more, up to a cup. You leave out the honey until it is done heating up. You add that last because you don't want to ruin all of the constituents inside the honey. Until then, you just let it cook, just like this, until the pine needles lose color. As you can see, it's bright green right now. Otherwise, it's just a matter of cooking it for at least 30 minutes or so on a lower heat setting. You can cook it on low for 45 minutes or medium for 30 minutes or so. Some people cook it down for a lot longer to make it more of a syrup texture. I don't, and that's only because I try to save some of the vitamin C content while still being able to get all of the goodness out of the plants that I'm using. Elderberry syrup reduces the duration of cold and flu symptoms when taken at first sign of illness. Also, if you guys are wondering how in the world elderberry syrup works to help your immune system fight off viral invaders, it's because viruses spread by hijacking your cells and reprogramming them to make more viruses. And the compounds in elderberries help block the receptor sites that viruses use to get into your cells, which makes elderberry syrup a delicious way to keep your immune system in tip-top shape. Alright, so I'm giving this another little stir. I keep stirring it in between my videos. The pine needles are starting to lose some of the green, so it's getting close. I'm going to use this and try to press it out. Press the berries a little bit to get the fleshes removed from the seeds. Is that not gorgeous? Oh my gosh. I love it. Smells amazing. Reminds me of fall with those cloves and the cinnamon. Oh man. Alright folks, I'm going to say this is done. I did end up adding the remainder of those pine needles, so I probably had another 1/3 cup of pine needles through that. So some of them are probably a little more green than the others because I added them a little later. But that's that. And I got most of the berries mushed up. So you can see it looks really good. The lemons have taken on the full color of the syrup. And it smells amazing, and it's gotten a lot darker now. So now we are ready to strain our elderberry syrup out. So I'm going to try to do this one-handed for you guys so you can watch. I have 2 layers of cheesecloth going both ways in my strainer, so 4 total. That way once it cools down, I can gather it up into my hands and squeeze it out. Alright, I've got all my herbs poured into this, and now I just am going to let it sit and cool for a little bit before I try to strain it with my hands. But you can just kind of see an example of what it looks like when it's done. And that's kind of how I gauge my syrup. When it's like as dark as I think it's going to get in color, once the pine needles turn more yellowish green, that's when I know it's done. Alright, so now it's getting a little cooler. It's still a little hot to the touch, but I'm able to squeeze it a little bit. And I'm going to take 2 hands now and start squeezing it a little bit more, and then I'll get right back to you when I'm done. Alright, botany lovers, now it's time to add the honey. Like I said before, I do 1 1/3 cups. Here. I stir it up just with a whisk until it's good and mixed in, and then I add it to my jars using a funnel or like the canning types of funnels. Okay. If you follow this recipe, you'll get 2 pint-sized jars completely full.
Thank you for joining me in my kitchen. Let me know if you like this video, and please let me know how your elderberry syrup turns out. I hope you love this syrup as much as my family does. If you enjoy foraging from nature for food and medicine and you want to see more videos like this, subscribe to my channel.